So, a very good afternoon, one and all. Welcome to today's class on strategic management. In the last class, we discussed regarding strategy, the characteristics of strategy, the levels at which strategy operates, and we have seen the definition of strategic management. What actually is the definition of this strategic management? Those particular things we have also discussed regarding the evolution of strategic management, the four phases in the evolution of the strategic management. And towards the end of the class, we discussed regarding the core principles of strategic management. Okay, so now in today's class, we shall start with strategic management process. So we are going to start with strategic management in today's class, right? So this is one of the important topic that we have got in our syllabus, strategic management process. And every year in almost in every examination, this is the constant question that is being repeatedly asked in all the examinations. It can be an supplementary examination or a main examination. This question has been repeatedly asked. So today we are going to discuss an important topic called strategic management process. So strategic management process consists of four stages. In fact, it's a cyclical process. Okay, so it consists of four stages. The stage number one is strategic intent. Stage number And when we come to strategic evaluation, it's an analysis and assessment followed by strategic control. Now, this is regarding our strategic management process. So let us look at each of these particular stages. So the stage one is strategic intent. Now, at this particular stage, the strategic intent, it's a revolutionary concept in the field of strategic management, right? It has brought major changes in the function style of every organization. So how this particular strategic management is a revolutionary, or why it is so important? Now, what is this particular changes that it has brought, major changes, or what revolution it has brought in the field of strategic management? When we look at, generally, when businesses are being started over a period of time, every business is lost under myopia, right? And then myopia in the sense, now business start, now they slowly lose focus on why they started business. They'll slowly lose in focus what actually they wanted to achieve, and they focus more on the day-to-day operations of the business. And after once the focus shifts from this particular goal, or once this particular the thing shifts from the milestones that you have set, and then the focus is given totally to day-to-day running of the business, day-to-day business operations for a period of time. Now you're caught in a quagmire. I mean, the sense you're caught in a cobweb like, and then you wonder. The entrepreneur wonders, or the organization founder wonders, why actually did I start this particular business, right? And then we wonder, what actually am I doing? What I'm trying to sell? What I'm trying to do? Because profits matter, no doubt in that, right? But profit is not everything, right? As a human, we search for satisfaction, and that particular satisfaction in our work comes only when we find meaning in our work, only when we find some purpose in the work. Especially in businesses, business entrepreneurs need to identify the purpose, the reason for their existence. They should know the purpose for which they are in that particular industry, or the purpose for which they started that particular business, or the purpose for which they initiated, for whom they are going to serve. No, this particular clarity should be there. So many a time this clarity or this focus is lost. And when this clarity and when the focus is lost, businesses, from being a good businesses, now they start tumbling down, and for a period of time they perish. Because today in the marketplace, competition is ruthless. It's a ruthless competition. It is so intense that there is no room for any error. So organizations need to be on their toes all the time. So back in the 50s and 60s, when organizations were losing their business focus, they are more occupied, they're more preoccupied with the day-to-day running of the businesses because of the economic conditions prevailing at that particular time. Now, strategic intent has given a meaning. Strategic intent was like a wake-up call. Strategic intent was just like a lighthouse to that particular captain who has lost its way, who has lost his way in the high seas. So when he looks at the lighthouse after having lost his way, now he knows his direction. Now he knows his destination. Now he knows in which particular direction he has to move and what destination he has to reach. So the entire sense of meaning comes back. So this is what actually strategic intent has done to the business. So that's the reason here they are saying that it is a revolutionary concept. And this is the major change that it has brought in a functioning style. Right. So informing businesses or telling businesses that this is the sense of their purpose, these are the people they have to serve, now that's the destination they have to reach. Now these things are being discussed in the strategic intent, and that's what have helped normal organizations to become good organizations and good organizations to become great organizations. So moving further, when we look at the meaning of this particular strategic intent, right, it has got a lot of a philosophical base, right? In one word, when we have to say, if somebody asks like define this particular strategic in one word, if we have to define it in one word, we can say strategic intent is nothing but organizational endeavor of achieving something, organizational endeavor to reach its destination. Now that's how we can define strategic management. And there is another way of defining this particular strategic intent. The other way of describing this particular strategic intent is it gives it helps an organization to know its destination, right? And it helps an organization what it wants to be in future, right? Okay, so that's what our strategic intent does. So in our strategic intent, we have got certain components. There are 4 to 5 components in strategic intent. The first and the foremost component in strategic intent is strategic vision. Okay, so this is the first component in our strategic management process in the strategic intent, the vision. All right. Now, what is vision? Now we are going to discuss regarding the vision and mission in the next part. Once we complete strategic management process in our syllabus, we have to define. We have one full-time subject on this particular vision. So we'll come back to that. Before moving further, vision is nothing but a blueprint of an organization's future, what it wants to be, right? So it is going to answer the fundamental question, what it wants to be, what is its destination. That's what the vision speaks. The second part, the mission, is once you know what is your destination, how are you going to reach your destination? All right. So knowing destination is not enough. All right. You should also know which path to take. All right, you should also know how to reach a destination. I mean, they might be a number of ways. There might be 5 or 6 ways of reaching a destination, but identify that particular way where you don't waste your resources, with minimal resources achieving maximum result, right? Using minimal resources and less time reaching your destination is our mission, right? So once you know what you want to be, you should also know how you're going to reach that. So that's the second part of our strategic intent. The third part is the business definition. All right, in the business definition, now it answers the fundamental question: why are we in the business? Why did we start this business? And having started the business, what is the purpose? right? It identifies or it helps an organization to answer that core question or that fundamental question, the purpose of its existence. The purpose of an organization's existence is defined by the business definition component of strategic intent, right? So that's what business definition does. Who are our customers? Whom are we going to serve? Who is our target audience? Right. So whether we are serving our customers to their satisfaction, right? Previously in the business definition, the goal was customer satisfaction. Now today, customer satisfaction is long over, it's gone. When we were having duopoly competition or oligopoly competition, people used to strive for customer satisfaction. Now today, customer satisfaction, if your destiny, I mean, if your goal is customer satisfaction, forget about doing business in today's cutthroat competitive world. Now today, almost all the organizations, those particular organizations which happen to exist, which are overcoming the fierce competition, their goal is not customer satisfaction. Their goal is customer delight. So we have to go one step further, right? Customer satisfaction is equal to expectation is equal to performance is equal to will not work now. In today's business, is equal to will not work. What works is greater, right? The performance needs to be greater than the expectations. When our product performance or when our service performance is greater than the expectation of the customer, then only you'll reach that state of delight. And when you reach that particular state of delight, customer is going to patronize you. Customer is going to be loyal to your product, loyal to your brand. So you have this huge inflow of revenue coming into your organization, which helps you to run in profits. You see what the business definition is doing, right? So this is how the fundamental question is being answered here. And the fourth part of our strategic intent is goals and objectives. All right. Now, what are goals? Goals are the end results, right? The end results are called as goals, right? And then what are objectives? Objectives are accomplishment of goals within a certain period of time. Okay, so broadly speaking, in case of our strategic intent, strategic vision and mission are for 5 years. 5 years from now, what an organization wants to be. In order to reach that destination in 5 years, what path are we going to take? What strategies are we going to implement, formulate, and implement? That you look at in the strategic mission part, how we are going to reach there. In the business definition part, taking care of our customers, taking care of the suppliers, taking care of our marketing intermediaries, telling them this is my reason for existence. This is my purpose of doing business. So I want you people also to join me. Join your hands in making it a successful company. Join your hands in finding meaning to our business, right? And this particular vision and mission which we have for 5 years, we break them down into yearly target, and that yearly target is objective is the yearly target. These yearly targets are again broken down into quarterly targets, and the quarterly targets are goals. So first quarter, so we have 4 goals: quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. End of the financial year, when all these 4 goals are accomplished, end of the financial year, you're achieving your objective. 4 years consistently you fulfill and you achieve your objective, you will accomplish your or you will fulfill your dream, that is nothing but your vision. So that's how it boils down into. Okay. So before concluding the strategic intent part, now strategic intent as a concept was born after World War II, right? Okay, so why we, I mean, try to understand the significance, the relevance and importance of this particular strategic intent. And that's the reason I have put the conclusion for only strategic intent here. Why? In the sense like, see, Japan is a small country. Entire Japan will be like the state of Tamil Nadu. That's the entire Japan. Entire Japan comes down to the state of Tamil Nadu, right? That particular state of Tamil Nadu, which is equal to this particular Japan, that small country, right, was hit by two atomic bombs. Okay, one atomic bomb killed 140,000 people, another atomic bomb killed 80,000 people. Just imagine the scale of that particular destruction. 140,000 people being burned and being, turned into ashes in split seconds during Second World War. Now it was totally crushed. It was defeated. It was totally crushed. So from ashes, they had to build their country. And Japanese people are very hardworking people. Japanese people are very ambitious people. Okay, so they started raising from the ashes, and they went on to become the world's leader in electronic market. Your generation knows about China, right? For your generation, the electronic capital of the world is China. Much before China arrived on the stage, we had Japan that was ruling the world economic markets. The first robot was not made by China; it was made by Japan. The first solar watch or solar cooker, no, these products are not made by China. These products are made by Japan. Even today, the real innovation, the true innovation in technology is driven by the Japanese people, right? You and me, all of us know that Chinese are very good experts in faking things, right? Right, they make the world's cheapest products, so they are known for that. But Japan is known for something better. They're known for the best technology, be it an automobile market or be it other markets. No, the world's fastest train, bullet train, was built by Japan. Even before the Europeans learned how to build a fastest train, even the Americans, they started knowing what is meant by faster train. Now Japan built that almost 40 to 50 years back. Okay, so that was, that's how Japan happened to revolutionize the world with this particular technology. Okay, Walkmans we used to have previously. iPod came from this particular thing called as Walkman. From where did Walkman come? Walkman came from Sony. Sony belongs to which country? It belongs to Japan, right? So the conclusion here, the bottom line is, it is this particular strategic intent. In all the Japanese organizations, they made strategic intent compulsory. So they said like, 5 years from now, this is what we have to become. And now, after reaching that, initially 5 years from now, we have to be the best business organization in the country. Next, best business organization in the Asian continent. Next, best business organization in the world. Like that, they started building their particular business organizations. So whatever Japanese business organizations we have got, they have went on to become the world's famous organization. If we take last 20 years data, or at least last 10 years or last 20 years, take from 2000 to 2020, you take last 20 years data and you try to figure out how many Japanese organizations happen to fail, how many Japanese organizations become bankrupt, right? Okay, how many Japanese organizations, because of this particular 2008, we had this world economic crisis. Okay, world economic crisis we had in 2008. Not much prior to that, we had this IT bubble being burst. So in all these particular tragedies which have shaken the foundations of the earth, which have shaken the foundations of the business in the world, it's only the Japanese organizations which were staying afloat, right? Lehman Brothers and number of business organizations which have become bankrupt, and which have Enron, businesses like Enron, which have failed customers, which have failed investors, right? All this particular, business bankruptcies we find in American markets, not in this particular Japanese markets, right? So before I wind up this particular class, in the next class we shall move on to strategic formulation, strategic implementation and evaluation. Now these particular concepts are very easy to understand. The most important thing that you'll have to understand is regarding our strategic intent. So strategic intent is that particular philosophy or that particular concept which adds meaning to our businesses. They tell the businesses that are lost in day-to-day business operations, come on, wake up. Now identify what is your destination. Work out how you are going to reach that particular destination, what resources you need to reach that particular destination, how much time you need to reach that particular destination. All right, try to reason out with your customers. Ask customers, study them, identify what your customer needs are, identify the creative ways, the innovative ways through which you can satisfy your customer need, right? The more, the innovations, what they do, the innovations set you apart from your competitors. As and when you bring a new innovation, customer will start running towards that particular innovation. Okay, and to sum up with an Indian example, of strategic intent, now strategic intent was perfectly, and when I say the word perfectly, I mean it, perfectly it has been established and run by Tata Corporation, Tata businesses. And that, in the automobile business, we have got Tata Motors. Right, Tata Motors has been in the business for a very long time. They happen to launch this particular model called as Indica, which has revolutionized the Indian cab market. But after that, many business people, many automobiles came, and Tata people, they started losing their hold on consumer market. Right, customers were not able to connect with them, and in this particular, especially in the goods market, they are nowhere. They are nowhere in the goods market. Then Ratan Tata said, like, we have to talk to the customers. The strategic intent was implemented. They kept a target like, now 2000. They started off in the new year, when this particular new millennium dawned, when the new century dawned, in the year 2000, they start off with the strategic intent. So the vision is like, by 2007 or 2008, we have to become the market leader in the goods category. So now the next part is the vision. Come out with that particular product which can make us the market leader. Now that is the plan to reach that vision. Next comes the definition, business definition. So they went and they talked to the fleet operators, that they went and met all these particular people, especially the trading people, the business community people they met, and then the fleet operators they met this particular working class people in in the rural places, in this particular transport addas we have got. They went to this particular addas and then they spoke to them, and they understood the need of the Indian customer. So Indian customer, that particular time, when we were entering into 2000, they wanted a car-like vehicle. So they said, we are going to launch a new vehicle. Having spoken with everyone, having understood the customer need, we have to bring in innovation. The best innovation that we can bring in is, let us launch a new vehicle in the goods market, and this particular vehicle should look like a car. And this particular and this particular vehicle which we are launching, it should take lot of time for the competitors to imitate. So in 2003 January, with lot of pomp and show, Tata Ace was launched in the Indian market. And when this particular Tata Ace was launched, the remaining competitors simply laughed at. Now the remaining competitors were saying like, no, Tata Ace is never going to click. For Indian people, now for the load category, they'll be either using a Bajaj auto, they are going to use Force Motors vehicles like Mini Door, or Bajaj Tempo Travelers. Tempo, we used to have this tube-like vehicle, Bajaj Tempo. So they are going to use that. Nobody is going to use this particular vehicle, right? But guess what? Now people started accepting because we have this particular, we give a lot of importance to something like status, right? There's this particular prejudice in the Indian psychology, in the Indian psyche. We have this strong thing called as status prejudice. So people thought like instead of having normal vehicle in my gully or in my goods stand, if I drive this particular car like vehicle, everybody is going to look at me, right? Now that's going to that's going to hype up my thinking, my perception. It's going to hype up my status, right? And when it came to performance, it has done extraordinarily well, especially in the hilly regions, right? Towards the states like Himachal Pradesh, states like Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Mizoram, Meghalaya, whatever hilly regions we have in this particular hilly terrains, down south in Kerala, Karnataka, in the hilly regions, it has performed extraordinarily well. And come 2005, it has created its own market. There is no competitor. It almost became a monopoly. 2003 January, Tata Ace was launched. The next competitor vehicle launched by Mahindra and other people, Pay and this Bajaj Force Motors and all. The next vehicle came in the year 2008. Till 2008, there's no competitor at all. No, such was the powerful innovation that Tata could launch and could do. Even today, in that particular one category, four-wheeler vehicle, the first preference by the customer in the goods category always go to Tata Ace. Okay, it always goes to this particular Tata Ace. Right? So that's how Tatas could do, because they followed these components of strategic intent. They had a vision. They know what they wanted to do. They gave it time. The timeline was like, here they gave like 8 years, since it's something new, right? And then they know what to do. The new vehicle has to come, right? The only way of reaching that is through this particular way. Now how will the new vehicle come? Let us define our businesses. To define their businesses, they went and met the customers. They identified what the customer wants, the customer needs. They spoke to the target audience, and they figured out what are the alternative technologies through which we can reach this. And finally they launched it, right? Something that was supposed to be achieved in 2008 was achieved way back in 2003, 5 years ahead of the schedule, right? So this is what we'll have to see. So uh, so I start my class with the strategic intent. So we shall continue our class with strategy formulation in tomorrow morning.